Hello, happy Tuesday, and welcome to VA Careers Live. Talk About It Tuesday. My name is Tim Blakeney. I'm a national recruitment consultant for the Veterans Health Administration and your guest host for today's show. First off, I want to thank you all for joining us. We know that your time is valuable, and we really appreciate that you spend some time um, with us each week to talk about VA careers. Since it's the second Tuesday of every month, our regular viewers will know that this is question and answer day. Mike is not here. I'm stepping in for him. If you happen to be joining us for the first time, these questions are selected from the audience members like yourselves that have been submitted from social media from the past week or so. Before we begin, I want to remind you that we want you to be part of the conversation. So feel free to leave any comments or questions for us in the comments section below. And our team will be there to do their best to answer your questions and address your comments. With that being said, let's get into some of the questions that were sent my way. So the first question comes from Brian. Brian wanted to know, why do some positions require a PhD when a graduate's degree is more appropriate to that grade request? Also, I have seen more than 11 job postings canceled due to administrative error after applying. Is this common or a position holding tactic? So, hi, Brian. Thank you for that question, or that two-part question, really. So, the team that is helping me here today, they're going to paste a couple of links in the chat so you can reference and go to where I got my information from. The first one is a link on qualification requirements. And then the second link is on understanding VA announcements and VA jobs. Again, they'll post that in there. This is where I got my information from. So with that being said, I'm going to tell you that, Brian, the U.S. Office of Personnel Management, OPM, establishes basic qualifications for every occupation within the federal government. Additional information on OPM qualification is available from the VA vacancy announcement when it's posted. So an announcement will describe the minimum qualifications required for each position and other qualifications that the candidate must have to be considered eligible for the position. So some qualifications standards have positive education requirements. This will be shown in the degree requirement or a specified number of hours that must be met. So basically, I know you said a master's degree is more appropriate than the PhD in some of the things that you're looking for, but I'm just going to say that we follow the requirements by OPM and then what the VA is looking for. So bottom line is, if a PhD is being required, it is because the VA determined that's what they wanted and felt a graduate degree was not what they were looking for. So hopefully that answers your question. OPM and VA, they identify each position and they go from there. So for the second part of your question, you've seen 11 jobs canceled for administrative errors after applying and want to know if this is a holding tactic. I find it reasonable that these positions were pulled for an administrative error. And I'm going to say why. Please understand that the posting of a position is somewhat complicated and involves a good deal of actions by an individual human resources person. And, human error will happen. And if they recognize it, or once they recognize it, even if it's been posted and, whatnot, they'll pull it back for correction. So I don't believe this is a common error, nor do I believe it's a sort of a holding tactic. I think it's just people being human and making a mistake and then correcting it. So I hope that answers your question. And if not, you want to be maybe even get more specific, feel free to write to us again. So Next question comes from Gina, and Gina wants to know why jobs are open for 6 months. So, Gina, thank you for your question. Just going to say the length of a job opportunity announcement can range from 2 weeks to 6 months and often relates to how hard the position may be to fill. So, you're going to see any number of announcements with varying lengths. I'm going to tell you that we have something that we call an open continuous announcement, an OCA, and it's open for a whole year. And it's something that we do to assist us in meeting union requirements. So again, Gina, I hope that answers your question. 6 months, a year, 3 months, 2 weeks. The length is determined by the difficulty of the position and how we feel about that. So I guess it's a bit subjective. So hopefully that will answer your question. And again, if not, feel free to get back to us. So the next question comes in from Justin. Justin says, any way to make better inroads into searching for veteran research careers beyond reviewing USA Jobs? For instance, I think there's a direct job board for ORD, which is actually the Office of Research and Development. Anything similar? Thanks for hosting and any available information. Well, thanks for joining us and thanks for the question, Justin. I'm going to tell you that you are correct. There is a job board at the Office of Research and Development. And my colleagues who are helping me here today, they're going to post a link in the chat for your reference. And this is where you will see the job board on the Office of Research and Development. So we also have information on research at vacareers.va.gov. And again, my friends helping me out today, they're going to place that link in the chat for vacareers.va.gov, which is a second location for you to go to look for research related jobs. So Justin, I hope you'll find the information you're looking for using these two links. The Office of Research and Development, you're going to see when you get there, they update their jobs monthly. So make sure you save that link and go back and take a look. So again, good luck. So the next question comes in from Bill. How easy is it to transition from VBA to VHA or vice versa? Well, Bill, thank you for your question. I had to do some research on this one. So thanks for enlightening me because I learned from this question, the process. So the VA is made up of three branches, basically: the Veterans Benefits Administration, the Veterans Health Administration, and the National Cemetery Administration. I found an article on this subject, and again, my friends will place the link in the chat for you to go and read it. It outlines the steps that are necessary to make a move within VA. Unfortunately, I have never transferred, so cannot tell you if it's easy or not. I'm just going to say I would imagine that if following the directions as they're outlined, it shouldn't be too difficult. But if you do make a move, come back and let us know what your thoughts are on the process. I'd be interested in hearing. So hope to hear back from you. And I hope to hear that it was an easy process. But again, my colleagues, friends will place that link in the chat. So the next question comes from Brandon. Brandon asks, for positions that say require peer specialist, letter or referral, is this a certain type of hiring path? So Brandon, thank you for the question. I looked at a lot of job announcements on usajobs.gov for peer specialists because quite frankly, I didn't know. So I read a lot of announcements to see what they were asking for and whatnot. So I'm just going to say that they all appear to address specific requirements of the position. And I would just encourage you to read the requirements on the positions that you're applying to or considering applying to. I saw some requirements that included training with a nonprofit. I saw some that said you could use state requirements and with varying levels of experience. So I'm guessing that how you show that training is with a certificate or possibly even a letter. When the VA is looking for a peer specialist, the requirements or path will be detailed in the announcement. I do hope that I've answered your question. But if I didn't, please send in another with more specific information so it can be addressed further. So again, good luck with that. You read that announcement; it's going to tell you everything. If it requires a letter and all of that good stuff. So good luck. My next question comes in from Brenda. Brenda says, I have a friend that just received her master's in social work. She must get licensed. What is her best approach for getting into the VA with just her master's for now? And what type of position should she seek out for now within the VA? So, Brenda, thank you for that question. I have asked my colleagues to post a link from USA Jobs, which will show you all the social work positions out there with the VA. I think there were some 300 or so with the VA. So granted, these will change by the time your friend is licensed, but it's going to provide your friend with some good information. In addition, they're going to post a link on the National Social Work Program that the VA has for even more information as to what she can do right now. Obviously, without a license, not going to be practicing, but I would ask her to go to vacareers.va.gov or usajobs.gov. Again, that's vacareers.va.gov or usajobs.gov. And, take a look around, see what might interest your friend, and see what they're qualified for while waiting on that social work license. So I hope that helps. I mean, with the information that I've been given, that's the best advice I can give you. Look at vacareers.va.gov or usajobs.gov until they get their license, and then start looking at the jobs that my colleagues posted there, the link to USA Jobs with all the social work jobs. So the next question comes in from Lisa. Lisa says, I was referred for a job 3 months ago, and I haven't heard anything else. When will I be contacted for an interview? So, hi, Lisa. Thank you for that question. It's always difficult. You get so far in a process, and you get referred, and then you're kind of waiting. So, I'm just going to say that when you applied for that opportunity on USA Jobs, there was a point of contact, either an email or a phone to contact with questions. Hopefully, you still have that information and can reach out. They should be able to let you know the status of your application. I'm just going to say that even though you were referred, you may not get an interview. And a couple of factors that come into play there. You were referred, and let's say you got referred with 10, 20 other people. The hiring manager is going to probably put together a group of people to look at all those resumes and determine who are the best qualified, and it's certainly, say 20 people were presented, you're all qualified, but now they got to whittle that down a little bit and find, maybe the top 3 to 5, right? And so they'll do that and do the interviews on those 3 to 5 and hopefully make that selection. So, and then once that selection is made, everybody, excuse me, those 20 people are all going to be notified. The one that's selected, and then the 19 others that didn't make, the selection. So I hope that answers your question. And good luck with that. Maybe you'll be able to get hold of somebody and get a better answer as to what the status is after those 3 months. So good luck. So the final question that I have here before I go and take some live questions comes from Bonnie. Bonnie says, I'm a former VA employee, but I moved away a few years ago. What's the best way to get hired on in my new city? Well, hi, Bonnie, and thank you for your question. And what I would probably just say to you, you're going to have to do what you did when the first time you got hired. You're going to have to go to USA Jobs and apply to the opportunity of interest. Making sure you read that announcement to ensure that you meet the qualifications. Because, like you said, you left a few years ago, and qualifications may have changed. I don't know. But again, you'll have to go to USA Jobs. Hopefully, there's a facility where you are close by, and the position that you might be looking for is going to be advertised. The other thing I would tell you to do, to better your chances is, why not approach the facility of interest? If you're in close proximity to a VA medical center, go in and talk to them. Introduce yourself. You're a former employee. You're interested in coming back to the VA. Go and talk to them. I think it's always a good step. So I would tell you to, good luck in rejoining the VA. So I am now going to go and take some questions. Let's see. Question came in from, okay, I need to put the glasses on for this now. Question came in from Rushan, and if I mispronounce that, I do apologize. Besides USA Jobs, is there a general drop box for VA careers where I could drop my resume directly? So Rushan, I'm not sure. We have an applicant tracking system, and how you get into that is when apply in a third-party job board and things like that. But a place to go directly and drop your resume, I think when you apply at USA Jobs, you do become part of that database, which is managed by OPM, and every recruiter in the federal government actually has access to that database. So just know that people are seeing it. If I don't know what your specialty is, but just know that people are seeing that resume from the OPM database. So the VA specifically, I'm going to have to say no, unless you applied on one of our third-party job boards for positions, and those are typically for physician, nurse practitioners, Title 38 type of positions. So hopefully that'll answer your question, and good luck. So next question comes in from Kimberly. I've applied to multiple IT positions with zero response. Is there local support available that can look at my resume and guide me? I have tons of experience and meet all the requirements. Not sure what I am doing wrong. So, Melissa, I don't know what you're doing wrong either. Without seeing your resume and whatnot, some recommendations I might say: doing a cover letter, highlighting your certificates. You said you are fully qualified, so I'm assuming you've read all the announcements, and if it required certificates and whatnot, and even if it didn't, I would recommend that cover letter that outlines your experience. That's one thing that you could possibly do. Other than that, there are some, if you're military, there are some companies out there that will help assist and guide you. And I've seen in past Talk About It Tuesday conversations, there's some people in the chat that say, hey, reach out to me and I'll talk to you. But aside from that, I would just tell you to keep applying. It's a process. I myself, all those years ago when I applied, I applied multiple times, many times, before I finally, I guess, cracked that nut, so to speak. But I got in. Persistence is key, and just keep at it and keep applying. And like I said, if you're not doing a cover letter, maybe try a cover letter that highlights, read that announcement and show them in the form of that cover letter what you're bringing to the table. So let's see. Looks like there's one final question here from Paul. How important is it to use the federal resume that has been shown on USA Jobs sites versus the resume format you may already have? So I think it's very important. You're applying to the federal government, they have a specific resume, and, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, it's what the federal government is asking for, right, Paul? So I think it's extremely important to use that federal resume as being asked for versus sending in your private sector resume that may be in a narrative format, might not cover everything that they're asking for. So yeah, I mean, my advice would be federal resume, and it's very, very important. So with that being said, I don't see any other questions. So I'm going to go to my closing comments. So we're going to wrap up for now. I hope that the information has helped you in some way. If not, and you need more expansion on some questions that may have been asked, please feel free. I want you to continue to write us, and we'll get the answer for you. Thank you for taking the time to reach out to us and being part of the broadcast. We appreciate your interest. If you did submit questions that didn't get answered this week, we want you to know that we're going to do our best to have those in future broadcasts. So we'll reach out and get you an answer in the comments section. So looking ahead, if you have any questions or comments you would like to address in the future, make sure you reach out to us. Make sure you put those questions in there so we can address them in future episodes. And then finally, if you have additional questions that weren't answered today or need more information, please visit vacareers.va.gov. Again, that's vacareers.va.gov, or drop a comment on here, on LinkedIn, or any other social media account associated with VA. So thank you again for joining us today, and we will see you next week.